Our third speech today is from the Competent Communicator Manual number 6, Vocal Variety. The objectives of the speech are to use voice volume, pitch, rate, and quality to reflect and add meaning and interest to your message. To use pauses to enhance your message, and to use vocal variety smoothly and naturally. Our third speaker, Bud Touchin, is an engineer and an IT systems manager. He consults with clients on preventing bad things from happening. I thought that was lawyers. He loves to look at situations and ask, what can go wrong? And then provide solutions. With a speech titled, Telchin's Rules for Project Risk, please welcome Bud Telchin.
Let me ask you a question. How many of you have started a project that you thought would be relatively easy and you had done good planning and preparation and it didn't go well?
Oh, yeah.
How many? I've had a few of those myself. And that leads me to looking at what might go wrong and are there any guidelines for preventing things like that, which leads to Telchin's rules on project risk. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Rough Riders, and multiple welcome guests. A couple of years ago, on a Saturday morning, my wife was going out to do some errands, and I said, Jerry, have a good time. And she turned around and said, what are you going to be doing for the next few hours, Bud? I said, oh, I'm just going to shine my shoes. And she said, try not to get into any trouble. Now, I really resented that. Why would she say something like that? But that leads to Telchin's rule number 1. When you get a comment from someone who knows you well, take it seriously. Don't dismiss it. Perhaps even investigate what the comment means and why it was said. So anyway, Jerry goes out. I go about setting up to shine some shoes. I put down some newspaper on the kitchen table. I take out my shoes.
Beautiful.
Take out my polish and the polish rag. And I open up the polish, and son of a gun, the polish is all cracked. If you ever open a can of kiwi and found it cracked. So I said, okay, not a big deal. I'll do what I always do like this. I go over to the stove. I put the can on a very low flame to let the wax melt.
Oh.
And then I'll give it a half hour, and it'll cool off, and I'll go about my business. That's easy. So I put the can on, and the wax is starting to melt, and it's actually fun to watch broken pieces of wax melt if you've ever done it. And then Telchin's rule number 2 comes into effect. Is that a project can take a nasty turn on a moment's notice. They say, what could have happened, Bud? Oh, I look back at the stove, and suddenly there are flames coming up. Where did flames come from? I've done this many times, never had a problem. So I go, oh my God, I turn off the gas, I take my rag and I wet it under the faucet, and I throw it onto the burning burner, and the flames don't go out. And then I'm afraid that my towel is going to catch fire. I pull it back, and I see that the fire's down inside, below the burner, near the stovetop. And what's going on? And I can see what the problem is. That there are little tiny holes in the can. It's an old can of polish. They're corroded, and the little holes are leaking liquid wax past the burner, down to the bottom of the stove, catching fire, and it keeps burning. It's like, Oh my goodness, what a mess. How did this happen? So, I said to myself, wait a minute, I'll put some baking soda on it. I go looking for the baking soda. By the way, a hidden rule in all this is that you can never find the baking soda when you need it. So then I say, all right, what am I going to do next? I can throw some water on down there, but the water's going to drip through the holes in the base and get wax all over the pots and pans. Well, no, I can't do that. So I said, wait a minute. And I'm getting nervous. And a little voice on my shoulder comes on and says, Bud, relax. You're an engineer. You've got all kinds of tools and things around the house. You're going to solve this problem. Don't worry about it. And you're also a former Boy Scout. So I say to myself, that's right. I'm a former Boy Scout. Boy Scouts are prepared. So I dive down into the back of the kitchen cabinet, and I come up with the solution. I look at it, the needle's still in the green zone. After 10 years, it's still in the green zone. Wow, what a product. I pull the pin out. Now, how many of you guys have ever wanted to pull the pin out of something? Okay? I pull the pin out, I aim it at the can, I push the lever, and this huge blast of white powder goes out, puts out the fire, and I go, whoa! Am I good? I say, Red Adair, you've got competition, man. Now, how many of you know who Red Adair is? Red Adair is the Texan who goes around putting out oil well fires. Okay? And he was called on by President Bush after the Kuwait War, first war. Saddam had started fires all over Kuwait. Red Adair was sent in to put out 1,000 oil well fires. Wow. And he did it. So I say, Red Adair, you got competition, man. Okay? So that led to Telchin's rule number 3, that even when things are going well, you have no idea how bad they can still get. Because in the next second, even though the fire was out, this cloud of white smoke, white powder, lifts up the can, the shoe polish can, it starts spinning around, and molten black wax starts going all over the place. Against the back of the stove, against the wallpaper that we had just put down a couple of months ago. Fresh wallpaper with black shoe polish on it. Oh my God, this is terrible. So I quickly I pick up a sponge, and I start wiping off the wallpaper, and thank God, thank you, Lord, it comes off. This is metallic, hard-surfaced wallpaper. Thank you, Lord. Okay? The wax comes off. Within 10 minutes, I had cleaned everything up. Jerry comes home and says, how did it go, bud? And I said, piece of cake. So the next time you're in a situation, remember the 3 rules, and you'll be safe, okay? Follow the recommendations of people, comments. Be aware that things can go wrong, and even when they start going wrong, they can even get worse. Toastmasters.
Please put your comments for Bud Telchin on your ballots and pass them to Aisha DeVore, our ballot counter. Oh, that's really fun.